At this moment, Ziyu didn't know whether she was in reality, in a dream, or a wishful thinking before her soul was out of her body and was about to die. However, she saw Charlie's face clearly. This is the benefactor who once descended like a god soldier, rescued her and her brother from the hands of Japanese ninjas. This is the benefactor who once scolded me for being superficial and obstructive on the streets of Tokyo. Thinking of this, Ziyu subconsciously raised her hand regardless of whether everything in front of her was a dream or not. When Ziyu's somewhat cold fingertips touched Charlie's profile for an instant, she couldn't help exclaiming, "Okay, so real." Charlie was about to put her by Leona's side, but Ziyu would wake up unexpectedly, which caught him by surprise. At this time, Ziyu yelled excitedly, "Benevolence, it's really you." Charlie frowned slightly. "Fake. You are dreaming, go to sleep." After finishing speaking, he reached out and tapped a little on her forehead. A little spiritual energy penetrated into Ziyu's brain, making her fall asleep instantly. Charlie looked at Ziyu who was sleeping, and couldn't help but slapped his lips. Why does this woman wake up so soon? In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he lightly tapped Leona's forehead to ensure that she would not wake up in a short time. As soon as Charlie finished this, loud noises came from the other end of the tunnel. Isaac hurriedly said, "Master, the clearance work at the tunnel entrance should have started. Let's get out of here." Charlie nodded, and didn't care to put Ziyu down first, and carried her on his left shoulder with one hand, and with the other hand he picked up the unconscious Leona and carried her on his right shoulder. Then he said to Isaac, "Go." At this time, at the other end of the tunnel, a helicopter had carried Chungfeng's 4 men down to Orville's kennel, and 2 other helicopters remained at the scene, one parked on the high-speed road, the other then hover in mid-air alert. Charlie quickly put the mother and daughter into the helicopter, and then stepped up with Isaac. Isaac got directly into the co-pilot seat of the cockpit and said to the pilot, "Back to the hotel." The pilot immediately pulled the plane up on the spot and flew towards the city at the fastest speed. During the flight, Isaac had called the hotel staff to inform them. Originally, Ruoli and a few crew members who betrayed the Su family lived on an isolated executive floor. There were still a lot of rooms on this floor. People immediately prepared the largest executive suite for Leona and Ziyu, the mother and daughter. 20 minutes later, the helicopter landed on the helipad on the top floor of the hotel. At this time, the entire top floor has been completely wiped out. From the top to the closed and isolated administrative level, there is not even a single service staff except for Isaac's most trusted subordinates. Charlie carried the mother and daughter on his shoulders and sent them directly to the room that Isaac had arranged. Settling in the mother and daughter, Charlie checked the time and said to Isaac, "I guess, before 8 o'clock in the evening, the 2 of them should not be awake. First, arrange for a few trusted female employees to watch them." Isaac nodded immediately and said, "Okay, master, don't worry, I will make arrangements." At this moment, Charlie's mobile phone suddenly received a message with a few lines of big characters. A major car accident occurred in the Forbidden Mountain Tunnel. The scene is terrible. A level-wanted criminal Shred was killed. 2 hostages are missing. He quickly turned on this push and found that it turned out to be the first-hand live data released by the local media. On the other side of the tunnel, one of the lanes was cleared by the clearing work. The police immediately entered the scene and found the scene of the Rolls-Royce car accident. Immediately afterwards, they also found Shred, who was shot through the back of the head. This made them numb for a while. They thought that Shred was only in a car accident, but they did not expect that Shred would be shot to death. This immediately made things more complicated. Why was Shred shot? Who would shoot him? What made them even more incomprehensible was that the 2 hostages disappeared out of thin air. The report also detailed the disappearance of the hostages. According to the report, the police found the blood and hair of 2 hostages in the back of the deformed Rolls-Royce, and even Ziyu's shoes were missing. Only in the car, from the vehicle, they found valid evidence that the hostage was in the car at the time of the collision. It can be proved that when the car accident happened, the two hostages were in this Rolls-Royce like shred. However, the two hostages disappeared out of thin air. Judging from the strength of the vehicle impact, even if the two were not dead, they must have been seriously injured. How could they disappear out of thin air? Originally, the news that Shred appeared in the city and took hostages with explosives and escaped has already aroused great attention across the country. Therefore, when this news was issued locally in the city, it immediately spread across the country. The local news that was just released was quickly reprinted and released by major domestic news media. The number of commenters rapidly increased, and the popularity of Google searches quickly became the first. Suddenly, people across the country began to pay close attention to where the two hostages had gone. Seeing that this incident has caused such great concern across the country, Charlie immediately said to Isaac, "Old man, you first spread the true identities of Leona and Ziyu throughout the network. You must let the netizens across the country know. The kidnapped are Sus' daughter-in-law and granddaughter." Isaac hurriedly asked, "Master, do you want to publish the video you shot at the same time? In that case, the Su family will be over?" Charlie waved his hand. "Don't send it out first, the video in my hand is a real killer. It's a bit too early to use it now." Having said that, Charlie sneered and continued, "I want to let the influence of this matter ferment to the extreme, so that the disappearance of Leona and Ziyu will become a suspenseful event of national concern, causing netizens to go crazy." The speculation and discussion made everyone desperately eager to reveal the answer. "Then I will release the video and put the Su family directly into the grave." After that, Charlie immediately ordered, "Old man, you can find me a batch of media influencers with a lot of brains to bring me a crazy rhythm. Let them speculate about the whereabouts of Leona and Ziyu, and the conspiracy behind the whole thing. Someone can say that this matter must be the Su family competitor in the trade. Some people can boldly guess that this mother and daughter were saved by a worldly expert. Someone can even predict that the mother and daughter must have died, and it won't take long for the body to be discovered. Then, in these speculations, mix the truth. Let some of them speculate that the two mother and daughter were actually killed by the Su family. Once this matter becomes a mystery that bothers everyone, once I announce the answer, the Su family won't even think about turning over this time."